Hello YouTube. I was sitting here finishing, doing some case finishing on some 300 blackout cases that I'd converted from 5.56. These have already been cut, sized, and trimmed. I'm just using the Lyman Case Prep Xpress to do the final touches on them. So we're going to chamfer, deburr, we're going to deburr the flash hole. That's what this adapter is. Now this does not come with the Case Prep Xpress. It's a handheld tool. And good thing about these things is you actually can take your Lyman hand tools, take the tool out of the handle, and it screws right into the Express. I'm not sure about older ones. This one's probably, I don't know, a couple of years old. It's not very old. But the more recent ones, it will fit on this. So that's pretty cool. So we'll deburr the flash hole. This is a primer crimp remover and works actually pretty good. And this is a primer pocket uniformer. And believe it or not, that actually works. I noticed that it's actually removing some material from the primer pocket. Now this is brand new to me. I've just started using it, and so I've had it maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. I'm not sure, but I used it on some 38 special, 9mm, and then now we're doing the blackout. And that's really the reason I bought this, was for the blackout. All the others I could have used my hand tools, because I mean it's not a whole lot, but when you convert these and you're removing, a lot of material, it really helps to have this. So far I enjoy it. Let's give it a shot. You don't need a whole lot of pressure. It works. Whoa, gotta hold that one good and tight. So this will be the first set I'll actually try with the Express with the 300 blackout. I have been removing my crimps with the RCBS crimp remover on press. So anybody that has those die sets, you know what I'm talking about. It works. It is cumbersome, and it's pulling the handle. This, you're kind of knocking everything off. One drawback with this, when it comes to this tool, you're going to have brass build up right there, but they did give you a brush. This brush is meant to clean with, but I use this brush also to just kind of hit right there after I use a case on it. It cleans it off, so that way I get a good flush fit right there. So you're going to actually use the brush. The brush is kind of dinky, but serves the purpose. When it wears out, I'll go to the hobby store and get a little short paintbrush, or maybe just go to the makeup section in the grocery store and grab a makeup brush. So those are pretty handy, but they're usually cheaper out of the paint section in the hobby store. So it makes short work of it. If you load a lot, I don't load a whole lot. Really not enough to justify buying this, but I did buy it just for the blackout, and it seems to be working well. This is not a long-term review by any means. It's more or less just talking about the blackout round, which is actually pretty cool. Back to the blackout, right? Coolest thing about blackout is when you load them, you're not using a ton of powder versus most rifle rounds. If you're using H110, you're using right around 20 grains, depending on the bullet, maybe a little bit more depending on how you're loading it. and what barrel you're shooting out of. But it's pretty cool, so it saves you a little bit on powder. Powder can be inexpensive for it. Bullets uses a 308. Man, you got a broad range of weights on those. So that's cool, but the downside of the Blackout is cases. If you have to buy them, man, you're spending some money on them, especially if you get manufactured new. You can buy converted brass a little bit cheaper. I bought, some of those, and then you can also convert your own, which these are, but it is time consuming. Let me tell you, you've got to cut them, you've got to trim them, and that's the two biggest things, is cutting and trimming. After that, it's like any case you'd ever have. But what I do with mine is I'll cut them. I've got a little jig and a little chop saw. So I'll cut, then I'll size, then I'll clean them. No, take that back. Cut them, I size them, I trim them, and then I clean them. And then I go through and I do this. And then before loading, I'll go ahead and do one more sizing. That's just my routine. Yours may not be that way. As far as annealing, I've tried annealing on them. I really didn't see a big difference. Of course, I haven't reloaded the same cases over and over again because I usually end up losing more than I pick up. And if you're looking for range pickup, it's going to be hard to find these. I go to a range and I might pick up maybe a gallon of brass, around the rifle section, and I may find one or two Blackout rounds. Most of it's going to be 223, 5.56. But good thing about that, I don't load for 223 or 5.56, but that's the case it uses. It's a 5.56 cut down, and then the case is neck down to accept that 308 projectile. And you have a ton of weight variations for bullets. So it's really a cool round. And if you have a suppressor, it's even cooler because you can make it run subsonic. Get a heavier bullet, shoot it through a can, and you won't have to wear that hair protection that everybody hates, or at least I hate, but I wear it. So this is actually a pretty good piece of equipment for the Blackout round, or really any round. If you do a lot of case prep, or if you want to increase production on case prep. And my big thing is, if you're going to invest in loading, invest in case prep. I think, in my opinion, I feel like that's your best bang for your buck. It's the most time consuming, and it also can be probably the one part that makes the most consistent round. And that's what you want. You want as much consistency as you can have. Now, I don't get into weighing everything. I don't sort by head stamps, especially when it comes to Blackout. I'm not shooting competition with it or anything like that, but it's just a fun round for me. And hopefully, when they pass the Hearing Protection Act, we'll be able to all afford a can and not have to pay the $200 tax stamp. Maybe they'll drop it to like $500, or not 500, $5, and just have it just basically like a firearm. That would be good news. I would get one then, but I'm just not gonna pay $400 tax on something. That debate's for another video, but this whole thing works good. What it comes with your deburring heads. It comes with primer pocket, not primer pocket, the primer crimp remover, both small and large, and then it comes with a primer pocket uniformer, both small and large. It comes with this little handy brush. Can't remember if I did that one. Comes with this handy brush. Comes with 3 brushes, you know, case neck brushes for your popular calendars, you know, 22, 30, 308, 45, you know, around in there, and you can use them for, you know, everything in between also. Comes with 2 primer pocket cleaning heads, which I've not used and probably won't. I don't know, I may try just to see if they work. And then some dry case neck lube. Setup's pretty cool. It is heavy and it takes up a lot of real estate. That's one drawback, is the real estate that's going to eat up your bench. And I've got a small bench because I don't have a whole lot of space. But the downs, you know, or the cons, I guess, would probably be the size, like I mentioned. And the biggest one for me is going to be that the tool heads, well, just one in particular, this one is vertical. That being vertical, when you get through using it, you're going to have a little bit of material left on that you got to kind of wipe off. If not, your next case is not going to be flush on it. So that's why you see me with a paintbrush or this little cleaning brush right there the whole time. But other than that, this thing works pretty good. And like I mentioned before, your other tools you can swap out and put on here, and who knows, I may come up with, you know, some other crazy stuff. If you know of something, you know, a tool that would fit, I don't know if RCBS, you know, tools fitted, or Redding, or any of those, post it in the comments, let me know. It might be something I'd be interested in purchasing and trying. But for Blackout, yeah, I think it was worth it. I paid $100 for this. That's not bad. I mean, it's expensive. $100 is $100, no matter where you're at. That's a lot of money. But when you're trimming these, when you're doing a lot of them, or say you're doing 223 or even 9mm, you know, I've ran some 9mm over this also. It worked well. I'm a little bit more comfortable using a bigger case, like a, you know, 38 special. It's 300 Blackout versus a 9mm. If you're running 380, you know, that's kind of hard to, you know, get your hand down here, and it keeps you close to everything else. But all in all, it works good. So who else out there is a Blackout user? Post in their comment. You know, let me know what your favorite projectile for it is, or even if you just buy your ammo. Where do you buy them? Where are you getting it at? How much is it? Maybe we can do a cost savings, or, you know, maybe do a little series on Blackout. I know there's a lot on YouTube right now, but I wouldn't mind doing a couple of videos on it. I'm not sure what I'm going to load on these yet. I may do something around 150 grain. I like the bigger bullets. My last rounds on Blackout were I think 178 AMAX. Those shot very well. I like them. Actually, I'll pull them out and show them to you. Well, that's crazy. I'm not going to show you that. Next time I load some, we might do a video on loading Blackout. So, I've got probably 200 or 300 rounds already loaded up, so it may be a while because I don't shoot it much. I haven't found a bullet I truly like yet. It's definitely not the 115 grain VMAX. I'm not too particularly fond of it. It's a little short, you know, it's little. I like a bigger bullet. I don't know why. It just looks better. It looks sleeker. Alright, so that's the yeah, that's good. That's a 300 Blackout. If you don't have one, you're not missing that much, but unless you want to spend a lot of money on ammo or reloading equipment, it is a fun gun to shoot though. And it's a, you know, a little bit different alternative to the 223, just because of the wide selection of bullets, like I said before. So the Lyman Express for the 300 Blackout, I say yes. Or the RCBS. But this is the only thing that I see that I don't like. Now there's some other manufacturers that have a horizontal setup where it's not vertical, and you know you're trimming this way, and that would be good, other than the fact that if you're applying a lot of pressure, I'm seeing that slide over. So you'd have to find some way of keeping it stationary so it doesn't move. Not that you're applying a whole lot of pressure. You probably use less pressure with it mounted that way. But so far, this has been a cool one. These next rounds right here, not sure of bullet weight, but there will be a heavy on the heavy side, or you know, 150 or above, definitely above. But we're going to use CFE black on these. Finally got a can of that didn't sell out as soon as it hit the shelves. Blackout's a hot seller, y'all know that. So, you know, H110 was tough to find for a while. Little gun. I've loaded with IMR 4227. I like it. It's good powder. Meters very well on the powder drop. Trickles well too. But H110, 4227 have been my go-to powders for 300 Blackout. But I'm thinking that CFE Black's going to be, because the velocities look a little bit better with a heavier bullets. So we'll see how that goes. I'll try to get a crony set up and take some speeds on these. See what velocities we're getting. And I'll definitely do a video on that. But you guys like this? Put some comments on your favorite 300 Blackout bullets or loads, you know, prices, what you're paying for store-bought ammo, and subscribe and share some of these videos. Thank you.